What is going on, everybody? It is episode 655 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here on this Thursday with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Today is our first Thursday without Phil. My heart is mourning the loss of Phil.
I do kind of want, like, funeral procession music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have thought about that.
We really should have.
You know, thankfully it's not permanent. We'll see him again.
We will see him again. We should have played I'll Be Missing You by P. Diddy.
Taps.
Oh, we can't do P. Diddy songs anymore. Those are that shit's canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, so I saw the meme recently when it says, when I find out that all of R. Kelly's music royalties go to the victims, just gives like, or at least a portion of all of his royalties go to his victims. So it gives you the A-OK if you want to listen to R. Kelly. If you want to listen to Remix to Ignition, you can now do so without feeling bad.
That seems like a good thing. Like, that should be common practice after someone is convicted of those types of crimes.
Yeah. I think
then you wouldn't feel any guilt about, separating the art from the artist.
There you go. I see. I love it. I have no problem just watching something from somebody who did horrible things, just because you have to have that distance there. But I get it. Not everybody can do that. So, guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. But before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already, and share the video, please, with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people you like, people you don't like, people in the in-between, people you haven't talked to in years. Just send out a mass text with a link to this episode.
It's like the Trump campaign texts that I can't seem to stop getting.
Yes, I keep getting them. I got one like right after on Saturday. I'm like, how'd you even send that to me?
We should have one of those mailing lists.
Yes. So guys, I don't even know how I ended up on that list. I didn't sign up for it.
I didn't either.
It's crazy. I still get a bunch under, like, I get one for somebody named Masood that comes to me from like polling centers in Minnesota.
That's really weird.
It says, hey, Masood, you did it? And I'm like, that's not my name. And I keep saying, please stop sending me this, but okay.
Yeah.
So yes, guys, send the links out to your friends and your family and everyone in between. The best way to help this show grow is to share the videos, the live streams, the segments, the YouTube shorts, all of that stuff. So thank you very much for that. And remember, all Super Chats $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion and we will read those Super Chats right then and there. Perhaps you have commentary on whatever we're talking about today, and you just can't wait to have it heard. So what are we getting into today? Well, first things first, we mentioned before that what it seemed like was that the Acolyte in Star Wars was looking to court the Reylo fan base, meaning weirdo fanfic shippers, who don't really care about Star Wars or even media as a whole. They just care about shipping characters together. It's been going on since Moonlighting, ladies and gentlemen. Well, they're back, and now apparently they're trying to bring sexy back with Kamir. And that's literally all these articles are, like, astroturfing this dude as the next big thing. So we are going to discuss that. Also, we have a very special segment today where Mary is going to read you Cringe Star Wars The Acolyte fanfiction.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to prepare the eye bleach for after this.
Yeah,
because
you're gonna have to,
what I saw was not much, but it was scarring.
You're gonna have to cross yourself, and
I'm not okay.
Yeah,
like it involves force choking. We'll get to it.
We'll get there. We'll get there, right? Yeah. So also, guys, we've done a couple segments recently on both Katy Perry and Eminem, and what I pointed out the other day is that Katy Perry seems to be going through the same thing that Eminem is, which is that she's out of touch. She's a woman without a decade and doesn't seem to have a message that resonates with a modern audience. Times change, and usually performers tend to change with them. The thing about storytelling is forever. Celebrities and, personality, that has to grow with the times. Stories don't. Mm-hmm. She is unfortunately a celebrity, an individual. She needs to, grow and evolve, and she's not doing that. So we're going to get into more on that. And also, Bhabie.
Yes. our favorite Saudi Arabian princess, Bhabie.
Bhad Bhabie has posted her OnlyFans earnings because she wants to make you feel poor and denigrate all of the simps who spend money on her to show her.
Shockingly wealthy off of OnlyFans.
Yeah. Who am I to tell her she's doing it wrong when she's making that much money? Really?
I still blame Dr. Phil.
There you go. It's all his fault.
Yeah.
Cash me outside. All right. So if you're ready, Mary, we can just go ahead and get started. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Let's get started then. First things first, ladies and gentlemen. Apropos to nothing at all, Tom Cruise is doing what he does all the time. He's hanging off a plane, and I just thought I would share this picture with you because it put me in a good mood last night.
At this point, none of it is for the movies. He's literally just doing this because it's fun for him.
Yeah.
And you know, they do say that this is a sign of sociopathy.
That
You don't have any risk aversion. You just, you know, you're an adrenaline junkie, basically. Like, this seems like a sign that Tom Cruise is not just an adrenaline junkie, but possibly a sociopath.
Well, he's our sociopath. The movie fans. He's our sociopath.
We love him, but he might be a sociopath. And I just think there's no amount of stunts that can make people care about Mission Impossible 8.
I think it'll do fine. Look, the other...
Okay, the last one didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it did. It just didn't do fine compared to its budget.
Did it make money?
It's probably lost money. It lost money. But the point is that the movie itself, if they didn't have the COVID restrictions and all the money that got dumped into it because of COVID, probably would have broken even or done a little bit of profit on it. But the point
I know
being,
that's probably true, but it sounds too convenient.
too convenient.
Yeah.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, well, they also say that like one of the signs of sociopathy is that you can mirror, you know, a regular person and you can make them believe that you're an everyday guy.
Yeah.
And he's fantastic at that.
Exactly.
So
this is what I'm
maybe he
saying.
is, you know? Oh, yeah, 20 there from Kyle Whittington.
He said, I don't have a comment. Just wanted to thank you for what you do. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
He
And-
organized the Catholic Creator Conference.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
How'd that go? You didn't really give us a big like go-to on how that went. Was it a lot of fun?
Well, then you started calling it GodCon, and I was like, okay, well, we can't really take it that seriously.
Well, it was called Catholic Creator.
Yeah, Catholic Creator Conference. I'm fairly confident there's going to be another one next year, and I'm
That's a sign
definitely
that it
going to go. Yeah, it went really well without any issues, and everyone there was so nice.
You like brainstorm like, well, I sent you possibly the greatest piece of religious content creation earlier today. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Are we gonna show that?
Let's just show it.
Is that gonna be our cringe, or is it like the pre-cringe?
I'm gonna show it now, just because I just gotta
my
scroll. But
goodness.
so as you guys know, we did Office TikToks yesterday. And we were talking about all of the ways in which
there have been further
this has
iterations
become
of it.
A trend. So I sent this to Mary last night. Let's see.
You said this was tailor-made for me, and I was like offended that you said
Spirit, jean dress and a gentle spirit, striped shirt and a daughter of the king, striped shirt and a daughter of the king, clothing dignity and a pink pant, clothing the dignity and a pink pant. More precious than jewels and a gold hoop, more precious than jewels and a gold hoop. Cowboy boots and saved by grace, cowboy boots and saved by grace.
Look, cowboy boots and Saved by Grace is fine. Clothed in dignity and that one was a little wordy.
A little bit heavy-handed. They needed to workshop the amount of syllables in each, but I also just sent you the other one that we saw last night of a group of Indian girls.
I sent this one to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Emotionally stunted and a mini. Emotionally stunted and a mini. Overthinker and getting healed. Overthinker and getting healed. IBS and a headband. IBS and a headband. Potty mouth and a pretty purse. Potty mouth and a pretty purse. Emotionally stunted.
I want to
I
point
like
out,
this one better.
What it points out is that memetics and trends like cross all boundaries.
Yeah.
All of these ladies.
This is globalism in
It is.
action.
Ladies,
but you were praising them for the camera work yesterday.
That was
and
exactly what I was going to say. Like, none of them have the push.
They're not giving. They're not giving the tilts to make it an engrossing experience.
They have to push in on the person as they're finishing their sentence.
Yeah.
The ladies in Australia with the makeup brand or the skincare brand did it right. The first
they did it
time
first
around.
and they did it perfectly.
Yeah, they gotta get their cameraman to work on it.
Kind of like how Mission Impossible is doing it for the 8th time.
Yes,
and
we'll see how we'll see how it goes. We'll maybe take bets closer to release date on how it went.
You're hoping.
I'm hoping
because
it does.
you
Look,
love Tom Cruise.
I'm also hoping that Twisters does really well this weekend because I want to see movies that people are enjoying, and that has been the sentiment that I've seen. I haven't watched any actual reviews, but the 5-word, did I like it or did I not reviews seem to have people that I know saying that they enjoyed going to see it. So we'll wait and see. All right. So Drake Drake has been cursed.
A curse has befell him. As you can see in this video here, this is Drake's mansion last night getting flooded after a heavy thunderstorm.
Turn it down.
People are blaming Bobbi Althoff.
Is it her fault?
They're saying it's the Bobbi Althoff curse. What are they trying to do with the broom? That's not helping.
No, he's going to have to go live elsewhere for a period of time, and they're going to have to hide.
Do we really think Drake doesn't have multiple mansions?
No, he does.
I'm sure he has somewhere to go. But they said this better be espresso martini. I mean, yeah, it looks gross.
And speaking of...
You're not supposed to walk around in that, by the way. It could electrocute you.
And speaking of Bobbi Althoff.
Yeah, so it looks like Bobbi Althoff cursed Drake. Recently, she had to respond to claims that she is hooking up with every guest on her podcast because suddenly, you know, she's interviewing Drake. She's interviewing all of these A-list rappers and celebrities, even though she is relatively a nobody. I said she's an industry plant, but really the explanation could be, according to some people, that she is sleeping with everyone who is on her podcast. And, you know, given the fact that she recorded the podcast with Drake in his hotel bed, under the covers, that would imply a certain...
Is it...
something.
Is my brain just too far gone where I'm like, if I imagined, first of all, I don't find the idea of there being a podcast where one of the prerequisites is that the host sleeps with you to be even a far-fetched idea in today's day age.
I'm sure someone has done it already.
Everyone's looking for their niche in the industry.
Yeah.
I just imagine that the woman who chooses to do that looking different than Bobbi Althoff.
Well, unfortunately, this is who we have.
That's all I'm saying.
She responded to someone who DM'd her, "Damn, get divorced choosing fame over your now ex-husband just to get passed around by different guys weekly." She screenshotted that, posted it to her Instagram story, and said, "I never respond to this comment that I've been getting a million times a day for the last year, but I am really sick of seeing it. Anyone who says stuff like this is so effing ignorant. You don't know why my marriage ended, that we are both so much happier apart than we ever were together."
That's so depressing.
That sounds like such a cope.
Well, it's also just
now
depressing.
Our kids get to see 2 happy parents instead of 0. I have never slept with someone I interviewed. I don't sleep around and I rarely ever go out. But you guys can't effing believe that a woman can be around men without sleeping with them. It's so frustrating that I can't post a single thing without comments about how I'm being passed around. Go live the lives you deserve and shut the F up. And just because you don't see my kids doesn't mean I don't. You see what I allow you to see. That last part is a really good point.
Yes. Look.
But to pretend that her rise to fame has no correlation with her decision to initiate a divorce is kind of bonkers. Like, everyone could see that coming.
Look, also... even responding to this is pointless. Therein madness lies. To even choose to address it makes no sense at all, because she's right. You don't really know. Everyone is just speculating, and you're going to have to be okay with that, because that's one of the downsides and one of the things that comes with being a public figure, especially someone of that level of fame now.
Sure,
right?
Especially the way that it happened so quickly.
Also, you know, interviewing somebody in a bed might
that's what I'm saying.
Get people to ask questions, even if it's not true. And I don't look. Do I believe he did? I don't believe she slept with Drake, but you interview him in a bed, so people are going to ask questions. It's weird.
Well, yes, and while drinking alcohol, by the way, but people are going to make assumptions about you if you have a public presence. Yeah. So there's just, that comes with the territory. It's just a hazard of what she does. However, there are things you can probably do to prevent certain assumptions being made.
Yeah.
And one of them would be not recording a podcast with Drake next to him in his hotel bed.
So was that happened before the divorce and all of the other stuff? So
it was on the same day as her daughter's birthday party.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
She missed her daughter's birthday party to interview Drake.
Mama's gotta work.
So tell me again that your divorce had nothing to do with your fame.
There's a 20.
Pat the plumber said, "Okay, I was legit mad this morning that this Office TikTok crap was stuck in my head. So I think you owe me, Brett. Now say almost 6 feet in my rollerblades. Almost 6 feet in my rollerblades."
I don't think I am. So I can't say that.
You aren't?
I think that would be a lot. I'm only 5'5", so I don't think that would actually make me almost 6 feet. But I'm sorry, I can't. I do have a question for you, Pat. How do they fix that problem at Drake's house? It says you're a plumber. I would like to know, how do they fix it?
He's on the case.
He's on the case
He's
right now.
racing there now to help Drake.
And I will never do like I said yesterday, if no amount of money will make me do an Office TikTok trend, I'm certainly not going to do it here.
And then Bobbi Althoff continued her statement saying, "Do you really believe that it was my dream in life to be a divorced mom of 2 kids by 25? Obviously not. I'm obviously insecure about it and wish things played out differently in my life. But that's life. Things don't always end up how we expect them to."
Fair.
So
That's fair. I just look.
that's kind of just
It was
sad.
her responding at all was crazy to me, because in my opinion, once you hit that level of fame, responding to anything, it's like, it's just pick and choose. You're gonna have 10,000 comments made about you. What makes you respond to this one in particular? There was somebody me and you were talking about recently where you said that they were responding to like every comment on Twitter, and I'm like, what? Was it Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, he's been responding to a lot of his negative comments as well.
Like,
it's not a good sign for her.
Who's got the time, right? Like, who's like, it's
The
bad
time
for
or
your
the energy.
It's bad for your mental health to do that, right? Like, what you can do is, like, if you spend any amount of time on Twitter. Now, maybe you're just a person that's wired for arguing with people or getting into back and forths, fine. But I would wager that the majority of people, it ends up having some type of negative effect on their psyche, even if they don't realize it. You leave the conversation. Maybe even if you think you won, you should be annoyed by the hollow victory of winning an argument on the internet.
Yeah, getting the last word with Joe Schmo 32.
Electric Boogaloo.
Is
that
not
really-
actually fulfilling, believe it or not. But I understand why she would want to clear her name, especially because it reflects on her kids. But again, here's another example. If you don't want people to think that you're promiscuous, you probably shouldn't be recording yourself in a nightclub with an NFL player that you just met, getting blackout drunk and carried out unconscious and placed into his Uber. You probably should not be doing that if you don't want people to assume that you live a promiscuous lifestyle. And to some degree, of course, people's assumptions are outside of your control, but also how you present yourself is in your control.
She's like, look, you go out and you get blackout drunk one time.
And people think you're sleeping with the person you went in an Uber with. Like, okay, let's just be adults, right?
Would you have perceived it differently if she wasn't married with kids? Oh, it's just somebody being 25?
No, I didn't like that people were responding to that saying that what she was doing is age appropriate because they were acting like she is a college girl. I wouldn't have thought it was appropriate to act that way for a 35-year-old, let alone, any other age. It's not about age. It's just about having self-respect and discretion and being able to handle your liquor.
Well, Bobbi, I don't care if you go and do it. I don't think that it's inappropriate.
Of course,
I
think it makes it worse because she is
Yes.
now a divorced mom of 2.
Just tell me you at least hired like a really, really good sitter. Like, I
But
want
it's like, look, if you wanted to live your dream life of a 26-year-old by partying and binge drinking and hooking up with people, you could have done that without, getting married and having kids beforehand.
That better have been a top-rated nanny on Yelp. Whoever was watching the kids that night. The
She
hubby.
had Drake babysit. Oh, no.
No. Where's Millie Bobby Brown? We're going to have to call and ask. All right, let us move on then, shall we? So Mary has another thought-provoking question for you involving Jojo Siwa.
Wait, what are you talking
Where's
about?
the tampon?
Oh, yeah. We need to put out a search party for Jojo Siwa's lost tampon. Recently, she put out a new music video.
Ugh.
Jojo Siwa's new song is called Guilty Pleasure, and it's really bad, but we're not going to play it because...
I'm going to mute it.
Yeah, we're going to mute it. And people think that they saw this part in her music video where her tampon falls out onto the ground and they just left it in the video.
I'm playing it in slow motion. We need to get the Warren
is
Commission.
that?
We need the Warren Commission on this.
What could that be? Wait, why does it look like it's shooting out of her? It doesn't look like it's falling out. It looks like it's being projectile
There's literally a
shot.
There's
out
literally
of her.
a Nerf gun up her skirt shooting the tampon into the ground.
I don't know. Like, what is that? If it's not a tampon, what is it?
I love that they played it in slow motion multiple. I was like,
and if it is a tampon, why did they leave that in the video?
Yeah. Well, I just got another text from Trump right now.
Really? What does it say?
Right now, let's find out.
It's probably something really
Trust me, it was from him specifically. Yeah. It says, like, how could it not be? It says from Trump.
Yeah.
It says, if I say please, will you at least answer question number 1? It's the easiest question. MAGA poll is open.
If I say please.
But he didn't say please. He said, if I say please. Frankly, I don't like opening it. It's very tepid of him. He should be like, I'm going to ask you a question.
If I say please, but then he doesn't even say please.
That's not even, like, it doesn't even sound like him. You have to at least make it sound like him.
I wonder who is writing this stuff.
Yeah.
I would like that to be my job.
There's a $20 there. From Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo.
Hey, Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo himself.
Were you arguing with Bobbi Althoff
on? Speak of the devil. He said you rang?
Were you arguing with Bobbi Althoff on Twitter?
Whoever that is, I applaud you for changing your username that quickly. But yeah, Jojo is.
Yeah, I think I'm getting numb from it too because I was shown a new Bobbi Althoff dance video of her looking like one of the Village People the other night in like the construction man uniform.
What?
And I was so numb to it. I'm like, this isn't even that bad.
What?
It was like just another video of her dancing at some event, and it was just, and I was just kind of like.
Well, she like does this thing where she dances badly as a joke.
It wasn't the one like this.
Wait, you mean Bobbi or
oh, I'm
Jojo?
sorry, Jojo. Yeah, it was a Jojo video.
Okay.
Bobbi. It was a Jojo video of her dancing. Yeah. And I was like, I must just be numb to it because it wasn't even the worst thing I'd ever seen.
It's kind of wild because, you know, she made her career off of being a professional dancer and doesn't seem to be that great at it.
Well, Cringe and irony are in again, so.
But I saw this comment on one of our videos about Jojo where someone said that she's becoming Abby. She's becoming Abby Lee Miller. And I was like, wait, that changes everything. She is becoming the demonic dance instructor that emotionally terrorized her in her formative years because that's all she knows.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Meat Canyon video where they were like, well, she's just doing what she was taught to do.
She's writing her own villain arc.
She is literally living long enough to become the villain. That is what she is doing now.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. And I would like somebody. Can we get a comment from somebody in her camp, her team? Can they respond?
Jojo Siwa has no comment.
Somebody should write like a real. Somebody at Chris Bertman should write a full article about this so that it can put like we reached out to Jojo's representation for comment about the tampon.
It's also weird because in this music video, I haven't seen the whole thing, but in clips I've seen, they're using gigantic teddy bears as the props for it, but the whole thing is like them humping each other, and I was just like,
Just remember when you're doing those scenes, you're in like a room of like 50 people and there's like a guy holding a boom mic. And, well, I guess not for music videos, but like, you know, there's set, there's fans blowing, there's a bunch of adults watching you.
And not only that, the way they film music videos is they like play the music video on half speed or 2 times speed, depending on what they're trying to film. And that makes it even more awkward. Yeah. Corporate cringe.
Awful. All right. All right, guys.
I hate it.
Let's move on.
Whoa.
Where the hell is that?
What is happening?
Got it.
I don't know what that was.
From Tom Cruise?
It was Tom Cruise.
I got to that quick. I don't know. Oh, it was clip from, look at this.
Oh, okay.
It's from when he did the Mission Impossible thing.
Sorry about that.
There. I have to at least play it if I'm going to blow everyone's eardrums out. There you go. Okay.
Great.
All right, so let's delete that one now. We should watch the religious office TikTok again. All right, let us move on then, shall we? Let's talk about what's going on with The Boys, because the season finale for The Boys had a title change for the episode, as well as a trigger warning before it, because there are allusions to fake political violence that align very, very realistically with something that happened here just last weekend here in the United States.
Obviously, Homelander from The Boys has been compared to Trump in negative and positive ways.
It reminds me of how much I hate the phrase Trumpian.
So this is just another example of the creators of The Boys treating their audience like children, telling them first off how to interpret the show, whether they should like Homelander or not, And then this recent controversy over showing extremely graphic molestation scenes in this season. And now they are not trusting the audience to know that it's fictional.
I don't know.
Basically, this is their disclaimer.
I don't believe that the showrunner put this. I believe that this was probably an Amazon.
Maybe it was an Amazon exec.
Yes.
The disclaimer reads, viewer discretion advised. This episode contains scenes of fictional political violence. Any similarities to recent events are completely coincidental and unintentional. Prime Video, Amazon MGM Studios, Sony Pictures Television, and the producers of The Boys oppose in the strongest terms real-world violence of any kind.
Look, they saw what happened to Kyle Gass. They're like, we're not risking it.
So what I can't respect, though, is that they changed the title of the episode from the original Assassination Run to simply Season 4 Finale.
Yes.
Come up with a new title.
It's kind of like what happened when we were watching the season finale of The Acolyte. It was just listed as episode 8.
Yeah, lame.
So this kind of calls something into question for me. This is not anything new. Trigger warnings may be new in the way that they phrase them. You know, for old material, the idea of the trigger warning, you know, these stories are outdated and do not represent the current views of the corporation that is putting this out. That's whatever. We talk about that all the time here. It's like it's like the safest thing. If an old person wants to appear hip and cool, the safest thing for them to do is be like, oh, trigger warnings. It's the Piers Morganist thing you can do, is say, I oppose trigger warnings because, you know, this and that. We don't like cancel culture and other such buzzwords. But for as long as television has existed and as long as the news has existed, when something happens in current events that mirrors something that's happened on a television show, they will sometimes either hold off and pull the episode and then show it at a later date, or they will put a disclaimer before the episode airs that they'll try to film at the last minute and say, there is no connection. We did not write this with this in mind. It was written before it came out.
You don't need to add the discretion warnings. You don't need to change the release dates. You don't need to change titles if you have enough trust in your audience to know that the show is fictional. Yeah. Maybe you think your audience is stupid. That's how this comes off, is that they think their audience is stupid. And I'm sure they're aware that there are a lot of Trump supporters in the audience for The Boys, given the controversy in the past of how they've tried to tell those viewers how to interpret the show and whether they should like Homelander or not. But what's more shocking to me is that this has happened so many times that there's like a documented history of it where it seems like it's giving Large Hadron Collider. Like, it's giving predictive programming. For some reason, Hollywood keeps on writing and filming stories that happen in the real world later on. People point to a lot of references to the World Trade Center being attacked in media before it happened. So
in the show The Lone Gunman, there's a scene of them stopping a planned hijack, an airplane getting hijacked that's about to go into the World Trade Center in the pilot episode of that series.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's happened so many times.
And that happened before 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. And there was one, I think there was like a reference to it in a Johnny Bravo episode.
So here's some of the examples that exist. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Joss Whedon supernatural drama was affected not once but twice by real world events, specifically the Columbine massacre. So I suppose anything involving, high school and kids at that time. A lot of shows did school shooting episodes.
That's understandable.
The show, its third season, had 2 episodes that featured school violence. One called Earshot featured a plot concerning a student who was going to the top of a tower with a rifle. It was set to run a week after Columbine.
Wow.
So
See, I understand why they made the decision, understanding like audience sensitivities, right?
Yes.
But you got to draw the line somewhere. And I feel like this was the start of a very worrying trend where all of the concern is placed on how the audience will receive what you've made. And none of the concern is on, whether airing it is actually important. Yeah. Right?
Here's one that I remember. Castle made a small change following the Boston Marathon bombings in April of 2013, since the episode still involved the team looking and trying to dismantle a time-sensitive bomb. It eventually switched with the next episode and lineup. So literally they just pushed it to the next episode to get it out of the cycle. I think the other thing is like, look, there are how many networks making shows, how many shows per network, how many writers doing how many episodes a year. Eventually,
it's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. It's like they're like The Simpsons predicts the future. I'm like, how many episodes of The Simpsons are there going to be? Are there thousands?
Yeah, but there are examples from the Simpsons meme that they like predict the future that just seems so specific.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible that it could have gone out like that. It seems like there is this collective consciousness that is tapped into when Hollywood is developing these stories, and that, you know, they're kind of predicting the future in a real sense without knowing that they're doing it.
The Last Ship postponed the following episode of the season 3 premiere following the Pulse nightclub shooting because the episode featured a shooting at a Vietnamese nightclub. That show also was about like a weaponized virus that basically destroyed. It's very if you guys want to watch a show that was very relevant for COVID, watch The Last Ship. I think it's on a couple of different streaming services. Shooter in 2017, the series premiere of its Ryan Phillippe-led Sniper series, was postponed for a number of months following a mass shooting in Dallas. Again,
Mr. Robot had to postpone its season 1 finale because it contained a scene similar to events that occurred on the same day. In Roanoke, Virginia, on August 26th, 2015, a former reporter killed 2 of his colleagues live on air. The shooter died from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. And in the Mr. Robot finale, somebody commits suicide during a newscast. And they aired the episode a week later.
Yeah.
Like, how do you decide what amount of time is appropriate to wait?
That's the question they always ask, right? Like, it's the most arbitrary number to say, like, it will be out. Maybe that speaks to, like, nowadays it would be even less time. Because, like, back then, at least the news cycle was more than just 24 hours.
I told you yesterday, doesn't it feel weird how no one is talking about the assassination attempt anymore? I mean, I know people are still talking about it, but you know what I mean, right? It's been eclipsed by like 10 different news items since then. And now everyone's talking about how Biden is like diagnosed with COVID. And we're just like gonna totally memory hole this so that no one pays attention to the investigation. I'm just gonna stop myself before I keep talking.
But it's like there's even more specific ones. Like I said, the show Numbers had the one about train derailments that happened right before a bunch of train derailments. Do
you agree with me that there's like a collective consciousness kind of miasma in the air that makes Hollywood do this predictive programming unwittingly?
You think that the Hollywood writers are doing it unwittingly, or that the public is falling victim to then perpetrating these things unwillingly?
Not unwillingly, unwittingly.
Yes.
They're writing these stories that eventually happen in real life. They materialize somehow, but they didn't know it was going to manifest that way.
Yeah.
It's just that there's some kind of collective consciousness. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's something that they tapped into.
Well, there's
in the creative process that and because like I have the belief, like as a Christian, that you know to God, he is outside of time. Therefore, like we are only experiencing linear time. It just seems like that's definitely a possibility.
Even for someone who's not religious, if you want to look at it just from the basis of like what television is, the ability to project an image and an idea on a screen simultaneously to millions and millions of people, all of which come from different walks of life, have different worldly experiences, that can then take this story and these images that you've created for them and then go forth into the world and do whatever they want with it. There's something to be said about the power of that tool, television.
I just, I don't like the solipsistic tendency that we have today, where we're we see a historic event take place and we start to talk to each other about how we just lived through a historic event instead of talking about the historic event itself.
Millennials living through their 434th historic event. And I always say, I'm like, it's because you have the internet. It's because you're following news 24/7.
And it's like quite literally, this thing happened to someone else. How can I make it about me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still think this was a dumb idea. I don't think that you need to delay airing an episode, well, especially because it's on streaming and not even network television.
A lot of people pointed out
you don't even have to take into account what advertisers would think of it.
The top comment says this is genuinely the funniest outcome of this show. Given the tone and the nature of the show, you could say it's about the most on-brand thing for what this show has, given what Homelander does in the finale. So, make of it what you will. I don't think they needed to change the episode number. I do believe that it was probably a network requirement. I believe it was probably an Amazon requirement to put that label on there.
They didn't retitle it out of protest.
Yes, and given the celebrities that have come into some backlash with everything that's happened since then, playing it safe was probably the smartest thing for all parties involved.
Well, you said you were surprised they played it safe at the risk of offending Trump supporters because obviously they view Trump supporters as less than human. Well,
no, not even just that. It's like, okay, not even the humanity of them. My point is like, you're the establishment. The media is not going to care. MSNBC isn't going to care. CNN isn't going to care. Who are you scared of? Who are you scared of the backlash from? Matt Walsh?
Well, I think that they are aware that Trump supporters watch The Boys. Yeah. And maybe some Amazon exec was just like, let's cover our bases.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just seemed weird to me because it's like, they don't have the institutional power that you do. So it's more just playing it safe. So, all right, let's move on then, shall we? What would you like to see? Now that we're done with the depressing stuff, let's do cringe and cute of the day.
Yeah, we have a wave of cute that was sent yesterday.
Yes, thank you everybody for submitting your cute of the day. Let's start with the cute of the day then first. All right, let's do that. First things first, I'm just going to I've tried to send them to myself in order. Right? Sometimes that gets hard to do, but I sent them self in order. So here is from Andrew Mangold. Says, here's a few of mine for cute of the day. Second submission of them since you lost them, Brett. Yeah, I probably did. I apologize. Or sometimes if you send like 2 in a row and you send one as a reply, like I won't get it. So he says the first one is Triton. The second and third of Iris and Hera.
Oh, I like their names.
Oh,
is that a baseball cap?
That is a baseball cap.
I love that. Cute.
Those look like, you know what that looks like? That looks like an Instagram picture via 2013. Like with one of the early filters on there.
Yeah.
I always use that one.
Nostalgic.
All right, let's do one more. And again, guys, keep submitting so that we can never run out of cute of the day. Hashtag PCC Pets. Tag me and the show in there. All right, from Shane H. Wilder says, here you go, Brett. Some PCC Pets cute of the day. Since you were running low, some more I look of my aunt's cat, Cherry.
These are very artful.
Those are very artful photos.
Wait, is that a painting? Because that legitimately looks like a painting. Do you agree, right? Like that?
Does, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's adorable.
Cute.
Oh, we'll go back to that.
Love it.
Very cute.
Love a tuxedo.
Very cute. All right, we'll hold off on the rest, and again, keep submitting those guys because the more you submit, the better chance it is that I will not run out of them, which we're always trying to look to do. So let's go ahead and move on to Cringe. I have not watched this one, as you always ask me to not watch beforehand.
Yeah, this one is like also sad.
Is it?
It's sad cringe.
It says, "Who gonna hold his hand and tell him?" Okay, volume up. Here we go.
Is there any realm of possibility where you'd let me go to Colombia, Costa Rica, or the Dominican Republic with just me and my friends?
Just go. Have you noticed that I don't care anymore?
I actually have noticed that, and it's pissing me off. Why doesn't she care anymore?
That's why you're trying to get a rise out of me.
Yeah, you don't care at all anymore.
I know. It's kind of boring, right?
I know. I used to like hide my phone. Now she comes over, and it's just like girls' asses clapping on Instagram. And she's like, girl power, love it. That's what she'll say to me. She'll be like, well, you want something to eat, honey? She just doesn't care. So are you having an affair? That's the question.
No, I don't want to be bothered.
You're at that point of the relationship where you just don't even care at all either way.
No.
Indifference.
Don't care.
That's good.
But I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. Divorce imminent.
Is there any...
I mean, I guess it depends on how good the prenup is and how much money he makes, or is she the one who makes the money? I don't know. I don't know who they are.
Why do they have a podcast where they talk about their marital issues?
He looks familiar. I can't place it, but he looks familiar.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
It was sad cringe, right? I was right about
It
that?
wasn't cringe. It was more like, that's depressing.
Yeah.
Like, they say the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference.
Yeah, that's it.
That makes me sad.
That's what we just saw.
All right. Well, now that you've sufficiently brought down the vibe of the room, ladies
Sorry
and
about
gentlemen,
that.
let's bring the vibe back up because it's time to talk about the Acolyte. I'm sure everybody will love this.
So Manny Jacinto, who plays Smilo Ren, Darth Gimp Mask, or maybe Khmer in The Acolyte, recently did an interview with GQ titled How the Acolyte's Manny Jacinto Brought Sexy Back to Star Wars.
Your point was that this is astroturfed, and you think that
This is incredibly astroturfed. I knew that they were angling for female viewers to thirst after Khmer. He is the villain, by the way. If you guys don't have the context, he's the villain in the show. I knew that they were, showing him shirtless and stuff, trying to get people to make thirsty fan cams, and that they did.
I saw that Leslie Headland said that it works because they're flipping gender roles on hypersexuality.
Yes, we'll get to what she said first.
I
but-
got a migraine from rolling my eyes so hard they went up into the top of my head, and I had to take 2 Advil.
Yeah. So they asked him what his secret is. So this
What's your
says,
secret, Manny?
I think baby oil. I think baby oil goes a long way. The Sith Lord heartthrob tells GQ
There's that word.
about turning the internet's collective knees into jelly.
Look, there's actually a line when they do the honest trailer for Fast and the Furious 5, I believe, and they make a joke about The Rock where they say The Rock's back and he's jacked up on baby oil, and then they do this thing where it just makes a bunch of
Okay,
squelching noises.
If
as
you
he's
put
walking.
that in Fast and Furious,
It makes sense.
That makes sense. You can't put that in Star Wars unless you profoundly don't understand what this franchise is about. But anyway, he continued, baby oil and wet hair. With the first season of The Acolyte wrapped up, Manny Jacinto talks training for those breathtaking fight scenes.
That's the most generous take out of all of this.
Yeah, what he learned after getting cut from Top Gun Maverick and working with Lindsay Lohan on Freaky Friday 2. So basically, they were hammering it home that Manny Jacinto's character, Khmer, is the sexy, dark side bad boy of The Acolyte, and he's making all the ladies swoon. And I think because women are all on birth control, it actually worked.
I was gonna say, so this seems a bit like, because we were gonna talk. Should we get into the Tom Cruise? Because it feels like
Well, we're not there yet. We
Okay.
got to talk about the bringing sexy back part. So the interview goes on to say what's most striking about the stranger Khmer is how undeniably, irrepressibly sexy he is. That's what they said. For the better part of 5 decades, Star Wars has been a franchise largely starved for sensuality. Han Solo, as Manny Jacinto correctly alluded to, had plenty of riz, but he hardly ever got to deploy it beyond the occasional chaste kiss or cheeky one-liner.
Maybe the question should be, or maybe what they should focus on is the idea that that was on purpose.
Of course, the concept of less is more is totally lost on them.
Yeah.
The less that's said about the anti-chemistry between Anakin and Padme in the prequels, the better.
They have no space to be talking about anti-chemistry.
After this dumpster
If you guys
fire,
haven't watched this show, see the problem
Wow.
is, guys, is that they were going for chemistry between Khmer and Osha, but since Amanda Stenberg doesn't really know how to act at all, you can't really pull any actual emotional resonance from it, because she's making the same facial expression when she's forced choking someone, when she's being told serious information, when she's sleeping, when she's having coffee, when she's doing everything. She's making really the same facial expression all the time. So the ability to pull sensuality or any type of human connection between the two doesn't really work, because that takes a bit of, physical acting. It's
her ineptitude at acting paired with the fact that, frankly, Manny Jacinto is not as hot as they are trying to make us think he is.
He would make more sense.
He has a weird pedo stash. He looks like a rat.
He would make more sense in playing like a businessman in a romantic comedy than he would in this. At least if we're talking about that.
Would make sense, but yeah, they obviously have no room to talk about characters lacking chemistry. Correct. And while Rey and Kylo Ren built up some genuine tension in The Last Jedi, it all fizzled out into nothing in the trilogy's dud of denouement, The Rise of Skywalker. So you said that they were trying to bring back Reylo with the
vibe of
the romance or the slow burn romance between Osha and Smilo Ren, aka Kamir. They're trying to bring back that bad boy archetype in Star Wars to get teenage girls to watch it, because that's the phantom audience that they've been chasing after at the expense of their white male audience that they have lost. But anyway, this continues saying, when Kamir is first unmasked in the midst of a brutal Jedi killing spree, the camera movements and moody lighting appear engineered to maximize Manny Jacinto's heart-throbbiness.
Again, I want to point out that there is no mood lighting, because the lighting on this show is ridiculously flat and dark and boring. That you're just lying now.
His exposed arms are as taut and defined as a Ferrari. His glistening cheekbones bisected by a pair of swooping bangs. He does appear even sharper and more menacing than the lightsabers he's gripping.
He does have a defined face. He does have a defined jawline, and he looks like he's had buckle fat, but I'm guessing that's just how his face is. So he does have that.
If he were hot, you wouldn't need to sell me the idea that he's hot.
I mean, it's the same thing with it's like what I would say. What's the joke? It's like, what's porn? You know it when you see it. If you have to
what's chemistry?
If you have to keep telling everyone you're the boss, you're probably not the boss. If you have to keep telling people that you've got chemistry, you probably don't have chemistry.
And an episode later, the show doubled down on Kamir's sex appeal, having him and his abs bathe buck naked in a hot spring while flirting brazenly with Osha, one of the twin protagonists.
That's not what that was.
I wouldn't have called that brazen flirting. I just thought it was weird.
Yes.
There was not even a spark.
What weird wine aunt wrote this that has never been flirted with in her entire life?
They used an example of the dialogue where Osha picks up his lightsaber and he said, "How does it feel to hold one again?" Is that supposed to be like an innuendo of some kind? Because I definitely didn't pick up on that when I watched it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, okay. And then the internet, as you might expect, had suffered a complete knee-quivering meltdown after Kamir was introduced to the show.
Again, the knee quiveringness of Acolyte fan 24242 on Twitter is not the internet.
I did actually see many fan cams and thirst traps of Manny's characters.
Bots, fake news.
Thank you. We'll just say it was bots, if that makes us feel more comfortable with the situation.
Again, the point here is that if you want to remember something, these are the same people that tell you sexual objectification is a bad thing.
Here, open the link that I just sent you to the audio description of that scene that they just referenced.
Why is sexual objectification okay when they do it?
Because it's a man. Look, if there were a female character in Star Wars that said she was told to put baby oil on for a scene, the world would melt down completely.
To untie a belted knot from around his waist, she straightens up for a better look. He begins to undress, revealing
I don't want to get us copyright. I don't feel like dealing with a copyright on this. It's going to get us copyrighted.
Are you sure?
Yes. He did. This is not worthy of a copyright of dealing with cutting this out.
Okay.
So what did they say?
Well, I don't know.
She says
'cause I don't remember, but
I'm not doing this. They don't deserve this.
Yeah, they don't really deserve our time anyway. But yeah, one of the tweets in response to the scene said, Manny Jacinto is about to lead me places I wouldn't even go with a gun. Another one said, I just started chewing on cement.
Okay.
We were just talking about the way that women post thirst comments and like simping comments. It's definitely a different genre.
Why is it that when men do it, it's bad, and when women do it, it's okay?
Look, if they had a scene where Amanda Stenberg was expected to, you know, do like a nude bathing scene in a hot spring and cover herself in baby oil, it would not go over well with the fans. They would be extremely offended.
It wouldn't go over with her. It wouldn't go over well with her.
She wouldn't have accepted it because she is a strong, independent woman
who doesn't need to sexualize herself.
Who doesn't need to objectify herself.
Unless she's on the red carpet going to an event.
Of course.
Then you can do it yourself.
But because it's a male, I guess, love interest, it's something that people are willing to accept. And this is what they say is bringing sexy back to Star Wars. Look, even just his character is not, like, his personality is not discernible enough to be attractive.
Yeah.
Han Solo was actually full of machismo and confidence and I don't know, what would be the word for it?
I mean, the point is that they're not trying. That it happens through the writing without even trying to do it.
Exactly. Yes, it doesn't feel put on and fake and phony. Yeah. This is what it seemed like. I knew that they were trying to go for this. But here's what Leslie Headland, the writer and showrunner, had to say about the sex appeal in The Acolyte. She said, Camille flips classic gender tropes of hypersexualization, but a true sex symbol is someone who resonates emotionally with fans. Manny Jacinto's magnetism is rooted in his acting, not just his physique. His ability to access vulnerability, empathy, and longing is very compelling.
There was zero of any of that in this show.
Yeah, and furthermore, she said
he was just a generically good. He was just a generically good villain. Like I'm not saying that the show was good. I'm saying that he, at certain portions, put on a generically good performance as a generically okay villain. There was none of all of those descriptive words you just used.
It was more, I don't know. It was better than the rest of the show, I guess.
Yes.
Which isn't saying much.
Correct.
I said at the end of the show that it felt like I just watched a fan project or like a fanfic that was developed into a Star Wars show. And that's exactly what it was, because now that Leslie Headland has spoken out, she started the shipping. Yeah. She's a shipper. First off, we got a 20 from Nate. The words for Han Solo are scruffy looking nerf herder.
Look, you just there is this is the point of charisma, right? You can't fake charisma. Harrison Ford has charisma, a unique screen presence. It's one of those things I pointed out. And if we want to go back to the other trope of the females and sex appeal, even in later years, right? When we were watching The Eternals, which was an objectively awful movie, honestly, boring in kind of the exact same way that this was. Every scene that Angelina Jolie she put on a clinic as to why her ability to just stand there and look more engaging and visually appealing than everyone else stood out above and beyond all, even women who are objectively younger. And one would, like, Gemma Chan is a younger, beautiful woman. Fine, sure. She doesn't have the screen presence or the charisma that Angelina Jolie does. Right?
Also
and
just
none of them have that.
They're not going to write a male love interest who is actually masculine now anyway. So Leslie Headland says that it's so clear what the appeal of Oshamir is. This is their ship name, Oshamir. Osha and Kamir have an appealing love story because it's egalitarian. That's basically what Leslie Headland is saying. She discusses their enemies to lovers dynamic in The Acolyte. She emphasizes her personal experiences in the fandom because she is, after all, a fanfic writer. But essentially what she said is it's appealing to the fans because they made it a love story where they're both equals so that there's no coercion. That's what she said.
That's not how normal people
Here's
think.
Here's the exact quote though. So we referenced Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to influence in the writer's room. The parallel is that they are both equals and their relationship is earned through mutual vulnerability, not intimidation or manipulation.
People don't watch fantasy or science fiction or really like stories in general for real world descriptors of what they want to see. They go to see something outside their world of experience. Something
Leslie
that pushes
Headland
them.
also admitted, nobody wants to ship these characters more than I do. I love them so much. There's always a character that's an avatar for me that I really love. Okay, she's doing the self-insert, probably is writing herself into the character of Osha because she is not really a lesbian, but that's another conversation. It's just, I can't buy that anyone really liked this, but unfortunately, women are so hopped up on birth control these days that they don't even care. They found this appealing.
Again, like you said,
It changes their preference in men so they like effeminate guys, I guess.
To the point of predictive programming earlier, I think it's more about kind of trying to make this what it is. Similar to what said about Tom Cruise, okay?
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, what did he say?
Well, Manny Jacinto also mentioned being cut out of Top Gun Maverick in this same interview with GQ.
Oh,
and my theory was that it was because he wasn't masculine enough to be part of the cast.
Well, he's in it, but he just doesn't have speaking lines.
In this headline, they're still astroturfing him, by the way. Tom Cruise shaded by hunky actor Manny Jacinto. Hunky actor. Once again, if he were actually hot, you wouldn't need to sell me the idea that he is hot. All of his lines were cut from Top Gun Maverick, but he wasn't shocked because, quote, Tom Cruise is writing stories for Tom Cruise.
Well, it's his movie and he can do whatever the hell he wants with it. But the point being that sometimes you just get cut because there isn't time to fill. There's a lot of reasons things get removed from movies, and not all of them have to do with harming you.
He continued, it's flattering that there was a little bit of outcry about me being cut, but it wasn't shocking to me. There's this sense of where the film was going on set. I could see them focusing the camera more on the other guys and not taking so much time on our scenes. Despite going through months of flight training for the role, Manny Jacinto only appears in the background of a few scenes and his lines were completely scrapped. But he isn't bitter about the experience. He used it as fuel. At the end of the day, Tom Cruise is writing stories for Tom Cruise.
Okay, so he's not even necessarily saying that in a negative fashion.
He is. He's making it a thing about Asian discrimination. Because furthermore, he said, it's up to us as Asian Americans, people of color, to be that for ourselves. We can't wait for somebody else to do it. If we want bigger stories out there, we have to make them for ourselves. So essentially, he was implying that Tom Cruise is writing stories for white males.
Okay.
And that's why he was involved in Top Gun Maverick. So,
but
that's not a good look.
Ignoring the fact that he was in the movie and he got to like actually do it and be there.
Just like, be grateful for what you got to do in the movie anyway.
Gratitude is a superpower. I say it all the time.
But anyway, back to the shipping and...
We got a $20 there.
Player PJ said Han Solo's sex appeal is being a smuggler, scoundrel, and outstanding pilot that made the Kessel Run in less than 12
But also, a bad boy is not the same thing as a villain. Bad boys and villains are not the same thing. Yeah. They seem to have a hard time distinguishing between the two.
I mean, to say that there was no manipulation in his Kamir's interactions with Osha and May is insane. Like, I just watched the whole season. It's fresh in my mind. I definitely recall that he was manipulating both of them. Therefore, I don't know what Leslie Headland is talking about when it comes to, like, it works because they're equals and they're both vulnerable. Whatever. But, clearly their ploy is working because in their efforts to bring sexy back to Star Wars, there is also a huge uptick in Star Wars fan fiction. Rolling Stone says the Reylo romance novels were a huge hit. Is this Star Wars fan fiction next? There is an uptick in Star Wars fan fiction starring Osha and Kamir from The Acolyte. And as I said, their ship name is Oshamir.
Which makes no sense.
I actually had no idea that there were Star Wars-based romance novels out there. I learned that today. But they say it has shown anything is possible when talented writers aren't afraid to be horny on main. So that's exactly what they're doing.
Which is why now what we're going to do is you're going to read some fanfic.
Yeah, I made the mistake of Googling Oshamir fanfic, just, see if there's anything out there or if they're just making it all up. It's all real and it's all awful.
Yes.
And I'm just going to tell you guys, trigger warning, brace yourselves. It's just get ready because it's really bad.
Do you want to like label like which story is which before you get into it, and just if you're going to read excerpts?
I'm not going to read any story in full. These are just excerpts, okay?
Label the excerpts before you start them.
Sure. You don't want to be a part of this?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. I'll interject as needed.
Yeah. Okay, this one is titled Seduction and Obsession. Here's a quote. He was utterly fascinated by her. He felt the urge to consume her thoughts, to corrupt her being, to call her his own. Kamir was fascinated with Osha the second he set eyes on her when she stepped into the shop. His dark intentions to make her his intertwine with a genuine desire to see her achieve her true potential. Osha, meanwhile, must navigate her conflicted morals and complex feelings for Kamir as she becomes deeply embroiled with him.
This would work live action if we could buy that Amanda Stenberg was able to actually evoke the emotions needed to convey that.
I was saying, it seems kind of sad that this type of fan fiction even exists because we know the type of person is writing it. Is being starved of seeing a real love story on screen because Hollywood hates love stories now.
Yeah, that's a fair argument.
And they hate, generally traditional archetypes for men and women in those love stories.
There's a 20 from That Stanzatastic says, hey, yeah, I'm gonna just pay to get you to stop. Okay, thanks. Sorry, bro.
It's not gonna work.
There's a fair argument to be made there that they don't like to tell traditional love stories anymore. And with no influence of that at all, seemingly, outside
this is gonna fill the gap for that, I suppose. This says it's a relative slow burn full of angst, longing, and seduction.
They love the slow burn.
Great. Yes. The enemies to lovers trope, I understand that's like a long-standing trope and it works, but they're obsessed with it. Here's another one. It's called And the Flesh That Sings.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. Okay. Okay. Here are some tags. Obsessive behavior. Force-sensitive Kamir. There was only one bed, and I won't say the other ones.
Perfect.
What extraordinary beings we are, he muses, kneeling to set his helmet to the ground. He extends a hand to her body, fingers caressing the force around her as if it's flesh. He leans into it, twisting the power between his fingers and dragging her body until she lays flat on the ground, her eyelids facing the sky.
Wait, so is he force dragging her?
I don't know. What's going on. He tries to keep his voice from wavering and fails. Here's the big quote. Even in the revelation of our triumph, you see the depth of our despair. Kamir puts his cloak on her shivering figure and rests a palm on her waist, exhausted. Ta-da. That was the big finish.
That was the big finish
Yeah.
to that one. I love the speeches, the monologues that have nothing to do with anything that's been happening on screen.
Little do they know that that was actually a Jordan Peterson quote.
Yeah.
Even in the depth of our despair. Okay, this next one is life, death, love. And this is the singular quote I'm going to
And
read
robots.
from it. I'm not going to go any further than this, but one of the tags is force choking. Do with that information what you will.
Is there a force safe word?
There better be.
Apples.
Here's the quote from OSHA. Do I call you master now?
I've been reliably told that you're not allowed to use those words anymore anyways.
The corner of his mouth tilts. If you want to, he says.
Keep going. Any more?
Okay, let's just move on.
Yeah.
The next one is called The Stranger Within.
Most of this has to just be like unrelenting sexual frustration, right?
I suppose so. And just a complete lack of, again, like a complete lack of the real masculine feminine
Again,
polarity
men
in
watch-
any of the TV shows that are being made now.
Men watch porn and women read trashy romance
This
novels.
is very much
Yes.
the case. Okay, The Stranger Within. How could I possibly trust you? I don't even know your name. I have no name, he replies, the smirk evident in his tone.
On at least the first 4 episodes of this show,
That's
he
exactly
is
what they
credited
did.
as the stranger.
Yes.
So that's perfectly right. Now, if he does the stranger in this, I'm leaving.
Here's the worst part. But you can keep calling me Kamir, at least until you're ready to call me master. OSHA learns a thing or two under Kamir's tutelage, most of all, the depths of her desire. I can't. I simply cannot.
I'm picturing the very, very paperback romance novel picture that would be used for all of these.
Okay. Here's the next one. It's titled A Smile Reserved Just for Her.
A Smilo Ren deserved
Smilo Ren.
just for her.
Some of the tags. He hates everyone but her. Kamir is an undercover crime boss.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Jealousy. And OSHA is famous. Okay, here's the pitch. OSHA is a rising star, but in her newfound fame, she has faced a growing number of death threats. While she's on the search for a new bodyguard, a mysterious man helps her out on a train. Maybe he's fit for the role. He surely can't be a secret crime boss, right? Those bruises on his hands are just from his time boxing, right? Whatever. The way he's looking at her makes her feel warm inside, so he can't possibly be that bad.
He was force boxing with someone, so there shouldn't be any marks anyways.
Yeah.
There's a 20 here from That Stanzatastic. Safe word is Jar Jar Binks.
Because Misa effing hates this. I'm sure there is a phallic lightsaber. Wouldn't that just cut like butter?
Okay, so the first thing this made me think of is the scene is the scenes in 10 Things I Hate About You whenever Kat walks in on the school guidance counselor writing her romance novel. Mm-hmm. Undulating with desire.
Yes. Okay, we only have 2
So-and-so's
left, guys.
Quivering member.
Stay strong. We have 2 left. This one is titled Embracing Darkness. Some of the tags include angst, denial of feelings, Kamir being murdery. Okay.
Again, remember when I tell you that I say like,
overprotective Kamir.
I say, here's the thing. When I make the joke that like when like the first nuke will probably be launched by a woman, it's because they use phrases like Kamir being murdery. Look, I didn't drink my
I was
water.
just feeling murdery that day.
I was feeling a little nuclear holocausty. That's
Yeah.
it, okay?
Okay. Here it reads, OSHA awakens in a cave with Kamir after the events of episode 5. You don't need to know what happened in episode
Victor
5.
White says meat saber.
He claims she isn't a prisoner. Suddenly, she wants to drag him out into the storm, close enough to see if she could feel his hands on her skin, despite the rain. Okay, wait, no, this is like setting the tone, right? Raindrops slide down his jaw and catch them with... Wait, she wants to catch them with her tongue? Oh, no. Okay. Because of the desire of the dark side, Wait, okay. The desire of the dark side was a carnal, violent thing, consuming and corrupting. And if all he wanted to do was claim her body, it could have still worked with his plans. But the stirring in his chest he felt when she met his eyes, when she leaned into his touch, when her quiet voice slid into his dreams, it was a soft warmth, a terrifying vulnerability that he knew would make him weak. If she stared into his eyes and begged, he would drop to his knees before her and give up everything. And that's why he could never be her master, and why he needed to get as far away from her as possible.
Okay, there was also, I feel like we're torturing you now, right? So there was also one literally about a YouTube essayist.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I didn't save that one.
The point
but
is like, look, okay.
they
so,
do the alternate universe
Yes.
thing.
So here's the thing. The better question is like, does it say something about how starved people are for these types of storylines that you have to take this type of material from a story, from visuals that had no indication of this in the storytelling? There was no connection like this in any way on screen. It's crazy. Like, look, you could make the argument that if it was a show where the characters had like unbelievable chemistry, right? And it just motivated people to write things that the authors, that the directors, that the writers weren't giving you. That speaks to really, really good storytelling, reserved storytelling that knows you want that story, but doesn't give it to you because it keeps you coming back for more. What does it say about a culture where there's none of that visually in what's seen on screen and people still make it up out of nowhere?
They extrapolate it this far where they imagine a whole different universe with these characters in it, because after all, women are not that interested in sci-fi franchises to begin with.
But they're bending it to make it what they want it to be.
Yes, they're bending it to make the story what they want to see. And what they want to see is a classic love story with like the bad boy character and, you know, him being overprotective, for instance. Like, that's something they're not willing to show these days.
Here's the
because
thing.
that would be toxic masculinity.
No, yeah, exactly. So the thing would be is like they could do this very easily, but it would have to be her protecting him because they have to subvert your expectations.
Yeah. Okay. I'll spare you guys this one. This was absolutely the worst one. It takes place after Osha has killed her former Jedi Master Soul. She force chokes him to death. She's having a hard time coping, so she clones Soul with the Force and then sexually dominates him with the Force. So we're just not going to read that. We're going to move on. I am going to need a lot of eye bleach after this. Enough said. Okay, we're gonna move to Super Chats. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Thursday, Brett and Mary. Do grown-ass adults actually write fanfic? I thought it was preteen girls who haven't learned how to use a semicolon."
Plenty of adults, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, we never know, right? It's anonymous. It's probably both.
Those who hate us want us to read more. Sorry.
I bet Leslie Headland is writing some of these.
Secretly, she writes some of them.
Mr. Joker said Brett would be Miyagi-Do, Mary would be Cobra Kai. When I saw that, I laughed because it's so true. It's so true.
I am not a stuck-up car dealer.
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, in Cobra Kai?
Yeah.
Well, no, that means you would be Miyagi.
Yeah. Oh, okay, then yeah.
The original.
Yeah, of course.
The original and the best. And that I would be, what was his name?
Yeah.
Who was the...
Kreese.
Kreese, yes,
Yeah.
that's who I would be.
Yeah.
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Yeah.
That's me. Corey Anderson said, Mary, you're pretty cool for a chick. Sup, Barney?
Well, okay then.
Thanks.
Let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact.
Are we running short on time?
No. It's just
Okay.
we're good on time. Let's move on. Let's do Katy Perry.
Yeah, so last week we talked about Katy Perry a little bit and the absolute flop that has been her recent single, Woman's World. And it seems like it's just only getting worse for her. It has been all downhill from that point. Feminists are sick of her. I'm sure that the non-feminists are sick of her because she is using the girl boss archetype to market this song and it is not landing. it comes off as corporate feminism to its core. And I just thought first we would
Early
show
2000s corporate feminism.
she hasn't moved past the 2010s when she was like in the peak of her career.
Seems like she's actually doing worse than Eminem. At least Eminem is trying to workshop a way around it, and Katy Perry can't. We don't have to listen to the music. But
No,
you can
there's
at
no
least-
music
You
in
can
it.
listen to the clip of her, the one, this one here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She captioned
Girl
it.
boss shit.
No, there's no music.
Yeah. Okay.
To shine. Girl boss shit. You can do it. You go, girl. You were born to shine.
Yeah.
And we're kind of just having fun, being a bit sarcastic with it. It's very slapstick. And very on the
All these women are like, my career's gonna get a boost out of this, right?
They're fake smiling in the background.
nose. And with this set, it's like, ooh, we're not about the male gaze, but we really are about the male gaze. And we're really overplaying it and on the nose because I'm about to get smashed, which is like a reset for me and a reset for my idea of feminine divine. And it's a whole different world we go to after this. We wanted to open this video making it look like a super high gloss pop star video, and that's what it is. Woo!
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess she was aiming for satire
It's
with this whole thing, but
it's-
it wasn't.
It's weird to hear like corporate art try to get this like strange academic response as to how the art is supposed to work and how it's supposed to be interpreted. The message behind it.
And then it turns out that it just doesn't have a message at all. But, you know, the lyrics say it's a woman's world. You're lucky to be living in it. Women are the best. Women should be celebrated for simply existing, blah, blah, blah. There are scenes in the music video where she is peeing at a urinal, wearing a slutty construction outfit, and playing with vibrators.
Well, I guess if the name of the game is sarcasm, I guess I can see the
Is it-
point of it, right? It's the point of
Essentially,
sarcasm.
she would be making fun of her own career in doing that. By making fun of girl boss pop music, she's making fun of herself. But at the same time, you are supposed to listen to it in earnest and believe what it's saying.
Yeah, there's
so
like
people
a-
just didn't know how to receive this, especially feminists. What I found the most interesting is that feminists were deeply offended by her attempt at satirizing feminist music or feminist music videos, corporate feminism. One group that she especially outraged was transgender activists, because she showed an image of a female body part in the music video for Woman's World. At one point, they show a uterus, because that's being equated with womanhood, is having a uterus, which, I'm sure there's no correlation between being a woman having a uterus. I of course would be a transphobic piece of shit if I implied there was some correlation between having a uterus and being a woman. So I won't even go there. But Katy Perry is getting canceled for showing an image of a uterus in the music video because it's very on the nose, as she said.
And because, having a uterus does not have a right to be compared in any way to the female experience.
One of the
according to
trans
them.
activists replied by saying, "It's a woman's world with a uterus. It may send a message that only women have uteri, and you're not a woman if you don't have one. Women are not defined by such things." Another one said, "Katy, I don't want to sound like a snowflake, but in Woman's World, using a uterus to represent women is not representative of all. Bodies don't make women women, and this also relates to trans men, which aren't women in the slightest. Kind of sad."
What is a then I would ask the question, what is a...
You would ask, what is a woman? Is
what
that
is
the
a
question you would ask?
universal? No. What is a universal symbol? If not the uterus, what is a universal symbol of women?
It doesn't. And I mean, if you can't come
Freshly
up with
made
a
sandwich.
If you cannot, I love that. If you can't come up with a universal definition of a woman, you can't come up with what is a symbol of a woman. That doesn't. It wouldn't exist.
I love the subjective nature of our reality now.
But yeah, it just seems like you can't make everyone happy. And you cannot feminist hard enough for all the feminists to like you. For some reason, they will find some reason why what you did wasn't feminist enough and why you were actually appealing to the male gaze and spreading cis sexist stereotypes against trans women. And now they're also getting mad at Katy Perry because of an old clip that resurfaced of her referring to Britney Spears as nuts in 2008, when Britney Spears actually was at her maximum level of nuts. So it would be the most fair to call her that.
I understand why Britney's nuts. I understand, like, unfortunately, why Amy Winehouse is doing drugs.
She says that
There's more to
Britney
it.
brings trouble on herself, and she sees trouble for stars if they're hounded endlessly in the U.S.
You gotta keep your private life private and, you know, not show your coochie to everyone. Wear some frickin' underwear.
Someone should get old Katy Perry to tell new Katy Perry that she shouldn't show her coochie everywhere and share her private parts.
Also, she was being really, really kind. She just said, "I get why you're going through a rough time." She just used more harsh language, but she's saying, like,
Yeah.
she's like, it's the hazards of the work that you do that cause you to go a little bit crazy.
Yeah, but everyone was just calling her a pick-me for saying this about Britney.
But also remember, we live in the time where you're not supposed to criticize, or you're not even criticize, but like understand why someone makes poor decisions. You're supposed to just tell them those are good decisions and move on with your day, even if it's completely in the worst interests of the person to tell them that.
Yeah, and this is where the idea comes from that any woman's choice is a feminist choice because it's a woman's choice. So you definitely should just support, like, it's girls,
to be pedantic.
girls supporting girls. Yeah. Whatever a woman does is a good decision because she's doing it voluntarily. Like, that's feminism now.
But what is a woman anyway?
And you don't need to understand the context in which she said that, because you can just snarkily reply, that didn't age well. Or as you said, you hate when people say the downfall of Katy Perry should be studied.
I hate the whole
for generations.
This and this should be the downfall of this and that should be studied.
The downfall of Eminem, though, that will be studied. And
I just saw yesterday, he is the second most streamed artist on Spotify of any rapper ever. So he's not struggling. He's doing just fine. He's actively seemed to have worked harder to try to define himself. And I actually think this is a good discussion to have. It's like, because women put so many rigid rules in place for what it means to be women, and oddly enough, they're trying to free your description of that by saying that anything can be a woman. But when Katy Perry tries to define herself in any way, they put a bunch of gobbledygook together to tell you why that's wrong. Well, you're wrong to put a uterus there because that's not what being a woman is. So they hold themselves to such rigid standards because feminism is the name of the game for their art that men have to fight to stay relevant for different reasons.
Yeah, I didn't mean financially, by the way. I mean public opinion, like downfall in how you are regarded.
Well, I'm saying that if he is
public.
that high on the streaming charts, on a technology like streaming, it's like, if we're talking about CD sales, that's one thing, but we're talking about, he's just as relevant now to his fans, and those fans are a large amount of people. Katy Perry, because of the roadblocks that are put in front of her by how Hollywood and how other women see women, and even how male executives see women, they have a lot to contend with redefining who they are as they go through different phases of their career, or eras, as your generation would say.
This is another one of the backlash responses she got. Cannot be overstated how evil it is to make a song called A Woman's World, with the music video echoing back to 1940s World War II era egalitarianism, which isn't feminism, on a song produced by a monstrous rapist, Dr. Luke, after your past attempt to do feminism flopped so hard it created the term flop. This is the problem. Katy Perry hitched her wagon to feminism as a way to boost her career, and it backfired on her. And that's why I don't feel all that bad for her now.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't have done that in the first place. You should have marketed yourself on your own merits instead of this girl power anthem bullshit that everyone is so tired of.
Yeah.
Like, they may not be ready to admit it to themselves yet, but I think women in general, whether they call themselves feminists or not, they are tired of corporate feminism being shoved down their throats. And this is a sign that maybe the tides are shifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All right, let's go to Super Chats. Corey Anderson said, Mary, what is the name of your simp army?
Do they have a name?
Well, I don't know. I never thought about it really, but if they want to name themselves, they're free to do that, and I'm going to be equally
The Marylanders.
indifferent either way. Shane H. Wilder said GodCon is technically going on right now with the National Eucharistic Conference in Indy. Prayers to everyone attending. I didn't know that was going on right now. But yeah, that is technically GodCon. He also said Trump trying to slide into Brett's DMs.
Yep. There was there was an episode of the show Leverage where this evil land developer attacks a priest to get them to, because the church is going to be leveled because the church just doesn't have enough attendees, and the guy's gonna flatten it and put a mall in there. So the Leverage team come in and fake a miracle to try and save the church, and the guy just turns it into like, what is it? It's like Godapalooza, Churchapalooza.
Well, I did literally go to Catholic Palooza.
Yeah, and the point is like he tries to thinking that it's gonna save the church, and instead it's just gonna become like a church mall, and the church is still gonna get flattened. It's going to be a mall at the site of a miracle. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Nate said, whole cast in black. What are we mourning?
This is us every day.
We wear black every day.
Every single day.
I wear black every day. Brett almost every day.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you're surprised.
Let's do one more.
Pop Culture Junkie said, not real episode title. That's just lazy.
What?
Because the boys didn't create a new episode title. If I had to guess, it's because Amazon was forcing them to do that, so they didn't want to create a new title.
Yeah. All right, let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact. Let's talk about Bhabie.
Yeah, if you guys need a refresher on who Bhad Bhabie is, her real name is Danielle Bergoli, and she became well known after her appearance on Dr. Phil, known as the Cash Me Outside girl. And you know, we definitely caught her outside because she has just recently posted her insanely high OnlyFans earnings online, and it's in the tens of millions. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
She made $57 million on OnlyFans in her last earnings statement, going back to when she started it in 2021.
So they're literally cashing her outside.
Literally the day that she turned 18
Yep.
is when she started her OnlyFans. And I would just like to add, she started the OnlyFans and had content already up on it on her 18th birthday, which almost guarantees that was not content of an 18-year-old. Regardless of any of that speculation, she has made a total of $57 million on OnlyFans since she started it at 18 years old. And she posted the receipts.
How much was it a month again?
A month?
Yeah, the subscription.
Subscriptions, it doesn't say. It just says the total.
Okay, it doesn't say what it costs to look at pictures of Bhad Bhabie.
I mean, I guess I could look up
Yeah.
what her OnlyFans is, but I don't really want to see that
Yeah.
kind of thing right now. And it was shocking when she first started the OnlyFans because she made already a whopping $1 million within the first 6 hours of starting that OnlyFans, with possibly a bunch of content of her underage on the website. But it's really sickening. And I say that not just because I'm against OnlyFans and sex work in general. That's always my take. I say that especially because she was introduced to the public eye at 13 as a troubled child with her mother on Dr. Phil, and it was staged as an intervention in her life for being so ill-behaved and misguided as a child that she needed to be publicly humiliated on national television over it and then sent to the ranch. Thank you.
We have tonal issues.
Tonal issues.
I don't know what her content is. Does she do nudes or does she just do lewds? Does she not get naked?
No idea. I have not subscribed to her OnlyFans, so I'm not sure, but I'm gonna assume that she has gone all the way.
I don't
but you know,
if
she entered the public consciousness at the age of 13
was a troubled 13
as a potty-mouthed, troubled child who needed a full intervention to get her back on the right path. That obviously didn't work because she continued down the same path.
Yellow Flash is in the chat. He says, "Send the Simps to Ukraine
instead of cash."
Instead of cash.
Yeah, that would help, wouldn't it?
Yep.
They're only going to send their cash to Bhad Bhabie and Pokimane, unfortunately. But yeah, it's especially creepy that a lot of the people who subscribed to her OnlyFans the first day she started it were people that saw her still in the same light as when they were first introduced to her.
Their formative image of her as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there's a sick obsession with seeing the deflowering of a child, basically, in the public eye. I know that's kind of sick to say that way, but it's really, I'm saying it because that's the truth. Like, she says she is aware that most of the people who subscribe to her on OF are like married dads.
Yeah.
And this is the line of work that she has chosen for herself because she doesn't believe that she is capable of anything better.
Unfortunately, money talks, and this is just one of those things that for a certain amount of people, who have that type of, she kind of hit that early trifecta of public relevancy, bad behavior, viral moments, that the money, it's too good, it's too easy, it's too tempting not to do. And the average person these days, now look, if you have religious views that put you against this type of behavior, or even just moral views, outside of any type of religious conviction, that's one thing. But most people are going to take well, you know what? None of my business. And that's
as long as it's not hurting anyone, even though it most definitely is hurting millions of people.
And that's then you have to get into a discussion about the definition of hurt in what way, because
But if there's no consensus to be reached on what hurt or harm is, that's a stupid principle for deciding whether something is ethical. But that's another conversation entirely. I just see this pattern over and over and over again. Not just with a social media star, but people like Miley Cyrus. There's just an obsession with seeing the innocent get defiled and desecrated in the public eye and debased, and seeing what once was a pretty innocent young girl turn into a debaucherous, ornery slut.
You could say that the same thing is happening with Jojo Siwa right now, just failing at it because she's more like...
It's gotten to the point where she's imposing it on herself.
Yep.
You don't even need to do any of the work once you've convinced all of the young girls to do it to themselves. Like, I know I'm probably taking this a lot more seriously than most people who are talking about Bhad Bhabie's OnlyFans, but that's just where my convictions lie. I am strongly against this, and I think it's absolutely horrific that she's gone down this trajectory since she was a literal child who deserved to be disciplined, not humiliated in front of who knows how many hundreds of millions of people saw that clip of her at 13 years old putting on a fake black scent. I mean, it was meant to humiliate her, not to, kick her butt in action, not to shape her up and get her into line, but really just to kick her while she was already down.
That doesn't work anymore now, because anything that goes online or anything that ends up on social media or on television is liable to be exploited for that person's personal gain later.
Yes, and that's why Dr. Phil has been accused of exploiting his guests before.
But here's the thing, that's the give and take, right? Like, that person goes through that, they have a right to use that to their advantage later. Like, you don't get to just be humiliated and then accept humiliation forever. This is a unique card you've been given to play later on. The difference is for women, it's almost always in these cases through this form of sexual exploit. You can make the argument that what the Haktua chick is doing is the opposite of that. That she said she will not do that, and she started
taking the power into her own hands.
Well, she started there with a lewd comment and turned it on its face and said she's not going to send you feet pics and she's not going to do OnlyFans. So there's a path to do it. It's probably a lot harder. It's going to take more work, but it's there.
Like, I wouldn't say refraining from showing your coochie to the entire internet makes you a role model, but you're right about Haktua. Like, that, at least someone can have their viral moment and not use it for something degenerate. Even though the original clip was like vulgar, right? But especially in this case, Danielle Bregoli has made $57 million off of OnlyFans so far. Yeah. Once you've gotten to that level of wealth off of sex work, if you're going to call it sex work, off of digital prostitution, there's no endpoint in sight. There's no point you can get to where you will eventually say, okay, I've made enough money. I'm done now. There's no point of return. Like, you know, she has enough money that she could retire herself and her children at this point. But she's not going to do it in all likelihood.
She's like, retire in this economy?
Yeah. And unfortunately, at the same time as all of this is happening, she recently shared footage of her ex-boyfriend, the father of her children, beating the living daylights out of her on a Ring camera. And she says, thankfully, she is not with him anymore. But
I think I saw something recently that they're back together. But I could have.
I hope that they're not.
That could be fake news. I didn't look into that too deeply.
I just saw TMZ reported that she disputed the claim that she was staying with him, and thankfully she's not, because kids are involved. We're not going to show. We don't have to show the video. It's just you know, it's the Diddy video all over again. Basically.
Here's another point of discussion for this. What's interesting more than anything is if you look at any of these websites that cover a lot of internet culture, whether it's something like Lad Bible, some of the stories that they run very frequently, several times a year, is like, I'm this person. I joined OnlyFans and made this much money in my first. They do a lot of stories that tout the amount of money that you can make doing stuff like this, which does prey on people in financial situations who look to go into areas like this. But more often than not, the thing that I always say is the average girl ends up being more akin to a SoundCloud rapper than Bhad Bhabie. They don't make the money they think they're going to make. It's their failed venture in digital prostitution. But here's the thing: if you are if you're a hypersexual person and you're a voyeur and you like making this type of content, that's one thing. You can make the claim that later on down the line it's going to cost you your soul. That's not my place to say. But if you're not that type of person and you have to talk yourself in to doing stuff like this, the swift negative outcome is far more obvious and hits you far harder than somebody who just happens to be a sexual person that doesn't have a problem doing this type of stuff. You can make all the comments you want about whether those people are doing the right thing. They exist. And that's whatever. But there's a lot of people that get pushed into it that are not that have talked themselves into doing stuff like that.
Well, what you're talking about is that type of person. You know, the term for it is being high or low in sociosexuality. Okay, if you're a woman, it's very rare to be high in what is called sociosexuality.
Well, how rare
it is? Way more common for men to be high in that trait because of their mating strategy. So I would say almost universally, the women who are engaging in sex work, on the whole, whether it's street prostitution or digital, they are talking themselves into it every single time. Yeah. They are forcing themselves to not have that disgust reflex. It's ingrained in women to not be able to do that. And usually if they are high in a trait of, you know, exhibitionism or hypersexuality, it is often a response to trauma.
Well, yeah, I'm not claiming that. I'm not claiming that there.
It's just not the way to process that anyway. We're probably getting way outside of bounds right now. But I just, specifically in the case of Danielle Bregoli, I find it very sad because, I mean, of course she is accountable for her decisions now that she is an adult and a mother. But at the time that she was thrust into the public eye, she had no idea what the consequences would be. And I don't think she deserved to be put in that situation.
I mean, things could have looked very different if the world hadn't evolved into what it is today digitally. So,
Definitely.
All right. Let us go to Super Chats then.
Quiet Inari said, elites are too creatively bankrupt. They copy TV. Is that what they're doing?
Who?
The elites who are pulling all the strings. They just watch The Boys, and that's how they decide to create disasters.
They're like, we'll copy this plot.
Yeah. Hiroshima Otaru. It's not like that far-fetched. Hiroshima Otaru said, it is the zeitgeist and self-fulfilling prophecy. And
in relation to what?
When we were talking about The Boys and like predictive programming.
Okay.
Yeah. The zeitgeist is a real thing. Alvman said, secret message to all cats. Trill trust but verify all meows are and borks stay tuned per.
Are there like furries in our chat right now?
I'm not sure what that was, but if you're a furry, please keep that to yourself. Shane H. Wilder said, that was a photo, not a painting. Black and white is my forte. The lighting was also amazing in my aunt's house because it used to be a barn. Okay. It looked like it was a really well done painting for a second there. Surenko Productions said objectifying is bad unless it's a man. Then it's completely fine and celebrated. The media, apparently.
Their logic behind it being that men have more institutional power, therefore it's okay to do so.
It's retribution.
Women can objectify themselves on the red carpet by wearing scantily clad outfits because they're choosing to do it themselves. Whereas if a director or a writer that is male chooses to write a scene like that, suddenly a woman's ability to consent or make a rational decision for herself evaporates, and she can no longer make that decision for herself. She has to feel coerced into doing so, even if the idea of contracts and the ability to say no prove that to be ridiculously false.
Yeah, and intimacy coordinators as well. I guess they had to hire an intimacy coordinator to put baby oil on Manny Jacinto. I would not want
Is
to
that who'd had to do that? Or is it, did they have to get, who's doing
that? Do they just have like a sprayer? Like,
that's probably what it
like
is.
A pressure washer full of baby oil.
There's a guy with like a can.
You just hose him down.
No, they put in a super soaker and they and they spray him down.
Okay.
This is horrible.
I hate it.
Thanks, I hate it.
The Rumbling said, The Notebook in space, Headland sucks.
Yeah.
You know, they could have made it a compelling love story, but
you can't tell compelling love stories because that's
by a lesbian.
That's heteronormative, and heteronormative love stories are to be exiled from Hollywood because that's just not what's in these days. They're looking for the phantom audience.
They wouldn't want a straight screenwriter to write a homo relationship, right? So why would we want a gay screenwriter to write the hetero relationship? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You can't relate to either of the characters. You don't understand how it works.
Maybe she
you don't understand the dynamic.
Maybe she wrote a fanfic of Osha going up to a hotel room to audition for a Star Wars for a play.
Before we get sued, let's read the next super chat. Shane H. Wilder said, okay, Mary, you're going to need to go to reconciliation after torturing us with this fanfic. I'm going to have to meme this as you telling campfire ghost stories over the weekend. Thanks. I hate it. You're welcome. I'm glad that it accomplished what it was supposed to accomplish, making everyone uncomfortable.
Yep.
That Stanzatastic said, bad comedy from chat. Oh shit, I'm going to force push. Oh, no. Pat the Plumber said, never want to hear I'm not reading that again, Mary.
I mean, she was selective. She chose only the things that she thought was like, there was worse, I'm sure.
There was definitely worse, and you guys should be grateful that I spared you.
In the chat, Eugene says, the fault in our Star Wars.
No. That's actually going to be a thing.
That's up there with whoever said meat saber earlier.
Great. That Stanzatastic said, I feel like reading this is an OSHA violation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Friendly comic fan said sketch therapy is a Biden voter and mad Trump lived.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but
Who cares exactly?
I'm happy to have any and all Trump voters, Biden voters, Fetterman voters, because that's going to be me when we finally get the Fetterman presidency that we all deserve. And
it's a hero we didn't know we needed.
Exactly. I'm happy to have any and all voters here.
Great. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, for the second crisis party, thank you. We need to get to a third, guys.
Yes, guys.
Before the end of the show.
We did not. I did not.
We actually have to leave at 5 because.
Yeah, because we're going to see Twisters.
We're on the way to Twisters. I'm not nearly as excited as Brett right now, but I'm
given the
excited on your behalf.
Response that I've seen online, I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited.
I hope the love story is good because I don't care about CGI tornadoes.
Yeah.
That Stanzatastic said, I think they are called the Marchives. What? I don't know.
Oh, they're coming up with your simp army name.
Oh, don't do that, please. I'm genuinely asking. Jewish AF said, thanks for using my pics first and cute. Love y'all.
Yeah, guys,
welcome.
I apologize. So what happens is I send them to myself, and then sometimes they get like misplaced. Sometimes if you like send it and then you forget to tag me and then you tag it in like a response post, I don't see it. So you got to make sure to tag me and the show in it. Oh, also, beggars can't be choosers. Photos are better than videos because videos are they eat up a lot of memory when I have to have all these tabs open all the time.
Yeah.
Photos are better than videos.
Yeah, unless the video is really good. We've had some really good ones. That Stanzatastic said, Brett, I appreciated the cashed out joke.
Well,
I appreciated it. It's just kind of dark subject matter.
What was it you said earlier? Like I said, like Brett makes joke, and you're like, "Wow, I'd have to be on suicide watch if you said that to me."
Well, I can't even repeat. I can't repeat what you said because you said it about somebody.
Yeah, I don't remember. I
who we wouldn't want to insult.
I don't even remember what
you said. Something insulting about someone, and I was like, "Wow, if someone said that about me, I would be on sewer slide watch." Like, legit.
I don't even remember it. I literally don't even remember what I said.
I'll remind you later. Shane H. Wilder said 50 million for degeneracy. Where did society go wrong? I mean, degeneracy has always sold. Sex has always sold.
There's
it just
a reason that
happened
phrase
to be
exists.
in the underbelly of society at one point instead of getting projected onto the airwaves, onto the screen that's in your pocket constantly. So I would have preferred for that to just remain where it belonged, in the corner where we don't have to look at it. Mm-hmm. Omega Red Fan said, the domino effect, something bad happens to you, so you do it to someone else. Would that be referring to Bhad Bhabie? I don't know.
I mean, is the idea that it's like abusers abuse? Is it like the same concept as that?
I have no idea.
Like someone who's been the abused become abusers. Domino effect. Is that what that means? I don't know.
I don't know. You have to elaborate, my guy. Shane H. Wilder said, we need to bring real shame back, not the shame or promotion of Dr. Phil, but the old school shame that comes when one besmirches their family name. Completely agree. I think there is a big difference between...
We get political shame all the time in this country. You're shamed for liking certain political candidates. It's just sexual degeneracy isn't shamed in the same way. You're shamed if you say something... Again, whenever that conversation comes up, I'm like, people are shamed all the time for all sorts of things. Sexual degeneracy just isn't one of them anymore.
Yeah, you can make an OnlyFans page and post any number of sexual content, and you would get banned on the same platform on OnlyFans if you started talking about things that Alex Jones talks about.
Yes. So you still get shamed for certain things, just not others. I think what you mean is that you want certain types of shame to come back that don't seem to be prevalent in society anymore.
I mean, there were always unacceptable ideas. That's not a new thing. No. I think the social media shaming is the new thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to be shamed for, not doing anything wrong. And if you're doing something wrong, you should be shamed for it. I just think there's a difference between feeling guilt for doing something that is objectively shameful and feeling shamed as in you are now worthless because you have done this thing.
That's always going to come back to a large, like when it comes to stuff like that, it's always going to come back to that large sector of society that's very like, well, if what goes on in the as long as you're not hurting anyone, because then you have to get into the subjective discussion of how someone is hurt, what does it mean to hurt someone? Because unless we're talking about physical violence, the subjective nature of emotional trauma and stuff like that always ends up with a subjective outcome where people say, I'm not hurting anyone. You don't have to watch what I create. And then we always end up back in the same place.
If you don't like OnlyFans, just don't start one. If you don't like abortion, don't get one. Yeah. That's what they say about abortion. It's not hurting you. So if you don't like abortion, just don't get an abortion.
Well, even a 2-year-old can be like, yeah, well, the baby is getting hurt, and then I have
but
to
it's a clump of cells. It's just they have the script. You know the drill.
and this is coming from someone who's like, look, on its face, like, I don't care if Bhad Bhabie does OnlyFans. I don't know if she was traumatized or what happened in all of it, but I just find the more interesting question to be that, like, why is a society now, does it seem like such a simple career path to go down and do that for work, when the sad fact is that they're not being told that it doesn't work out that way most of the time, and irrespective of like actual trauma. Like, it's not usually going to work out for you. It's something you can't take back. It is a bell that can't be unrung. You want to do it, you better be damn sure that that's what you want. Because everyone loves when somebody succeeds. Nobody wants to hear the stories about when they fail and then they shamed forever and don't even have the financial compensation to keep them warm at night.
See, they'll be like, oh yeah, start an OnlyFans, girl. You're going to make so much money. But if you like say that you want to get married, they'll be like, oh, don't, because this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. Yeah. And it's the immediate like doomsday approach to anything that could possibly serve you in life.
Here's a 20.
$20 from High Voltage 75. Took a flight to the West Coast today. It's weird seeing PCC on so early in the day. P.S. The rumors are true. I noticed people raw dogging the flight. Not me. I watch Cool Runnings.
That's awesome. That's a movie that... so I saw an article earlier that said Glenn Powell's next movie will be back. He's going to remake Backdraft. And somebody tweeted like he's just remaking all the movies he watched on HBO growing up. So I'm going to need him to remake either Cliffhanger or Vertical Limit. I'm going to need him...
You guys are the same age, so you definitely grew up with the same stuff.
I'm going to need him to remake The Eraser. I can think of at least 10 movies where I'm like, I can think of all these movies that had cool covers that I never saw. I want him to just remake those.
The covers are really bad these days.
They were so iconic back in the day. That was why I made that argument that one day. I said, Netflix and all these streaming services, I know there's apparently like science and statistics and data that says that changing the covers matters. If it's an old movie, if it's the cover to the movie Kiss the Girls with Morgan Freeman or Along Came a Spider, movies like that had such iconic, or Ransom with Mel Gibson, like they had such iconic covers that I just remember walking past in the video store because I was too young to rent them.
Yeah.
They should have those covers. They should. They should not make new ones for them.
Well, I'm sure they're going to listen to you.
Oh, yes. That stands to test. I'm going to say remake the movie Speed. Also, Daylight from Stolen. Yeah, Speed was one of the other ones. I don't think you can really remake Speed. I mean, you can, but it's iconic. But, you know, Glenn's on it. We got to get him to remake all the old ones. Somebody suggested Demolition Man. I said, no, leave that one alone. I left out, when I made my joke list of movies that he should remake, I left out ones that required heavily two great actors as like the stars.
Just, they only need him.
Like, yeah, that needs him as the star. Like, or if there's a female, but like, not like Demolition Man needs both Stallone and Snipes, right? Like, it needs more than just Stallone.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get Kai Cenat to make it with him.
That's horrible. You shouldn't even speak that into existence. Okay. Yorishima Otaru said they believe the female characters can't consent. Yeah. They basically think that women are children. They might be right, actually. Maybe we should listen to
Have
them.
we tried making sure they drink the appropriate amount of water?
If you stay hydrated,
Queen.
then you're not going to cause a nuclear holocaust. Corey Anderson said communists are not welcome.
I don't know if there's any communists watching our show.
Now I'm seeing that Sketch Therapy says he hates Biden. So I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I'm whoever wants to watch. If you're watching and you're engaging, it's not my place to tell you.
It's all
you
the
can't
same
watch
to
this.
me.
I can't tell you not to watch this show, nor would I.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, have fun at Twisters. Look, there's a cow.
Ooh, okay. I was worried they were going to try and one-up the original, and it's like a cow and a horse.
I thought they should have a cow popcorn bucket.
That would have been a great... or just a big tornado. Like, it looks like a...
Or a tornado. Why is the popcorn bucket so lame?
Yeah.
No offense to whoever made that, but...
I mean, it wasn't even a bucket, was it? It was just a bag with, like, the word... with like.
Oh, really?
Twist,
They
yeah.
didn't even
I don't think it
come
had
up
a
with one?
bucket.
That's
I
lame.
mean, maybe they just didn't have one at the premiere, but when...
Or
the
like a
ones that,
pickup truck.
Yeah.
Or a cowboy hat. There are so many options.
It'd be great.
That Stanzatastic said, remake the movie Speed, also Daylight from Stallone. Yeah.
There's a lot of them that Glenn Powell could make that I would be perfectly happy
By the way,
to watch.
I just want to reiterate, I am pro motion smoothing. Watching movies on TV, on like cable, with motion smoothing on
You're psyched.
at my grandparents' house while I had a fever was just chef's kiss experience of cinema. Like I will never understand the hate for motion smoothing.
The fever probably slowed down your visual acuity and made it look normal.
I was hallucinating.
Yeah. Like it actually looked normal.
Okay, even without that, I still, when I go to like Best Buy and they have the TVs all playing, I love the motion smoothing.
The that reminds me. So
scratches some kind of itch in my brain.
Olivia loves this show Jane the Virgin, which is basically like a network television telenovela. Maybe I should try turning the motion smoothing on so that it looks like
If you're watching a telenovela and don't have the motion smoothing on, like, what are you doing?
What are you even?
That's the way it's supposed to be watched.
What are you even doing? Maybe I'll have to do that.
That's the way that I would say, like, the old like Transformers movie or the old like Spider-Man movie should be watched, because that's how I saw it when I first saw it.
I'll never forget seeing Transformers 2 in the theater and all the people who were like in the weeks after being like, this was awful, and I'm over here like, I loved every second of it. I don't care what you have to say.
That's literally your life now.
Yeah.
When I hate every movie and you like it.
There's this. So I've noticed that there is this tone of people that just love to dunk on you for liking things that, like, for people that claim to be anti-establishment, they love to dunk on you for not liking things that are not approved by consensus. Mm-hmm. So when I tell you that I like Batman Begins more than The Dark Knight, people go, or
You're not allowed to say
or
that.
I like the Transformers movies. They're like, oh my God, you
Does it always make a sound when they slap their
like,
cheeks?
oh, you effing loser. And I'm like, you sound kind of beta. Like you need you need the public to tell you what to like. That's kind of pathetic.
I know you also have a pet peeve of people referring to sports as sports ball because they think that their interests are inherently they are more dignified than liking sports.
It's like when I don't remember who it was who's like, how can we watch sports when the nation is falling apart? I'm like, you don't understand how in your, like, you could be right. Granted, this was from years ago, so clearly it wasn't right in that moment. The world didn't fall apart the next day, but everyone is liable to fall victim to like doomerism and your own echo chamber. You don't realize that most people don't live in the same world you do because they like different things, and that is okay. All right.
We have a few more. Pop Culture Junkie said, Mary, you had frame rate fever. I didn't know that was the thing, but thank you for educating me. Shane H. Wilder said, there is a local burger joint called Top Notch, the same one from Dazed and Confused, that gives the kids meals in a cardboard pickup or 57 Chevy. That's awesome.
There you go.
I love that.
That's good.
That's Dinzatastic said, Brett, do you want them to remake Phantasm or The Cube? You think they will ever do something awful like remake 7 or Primal Fear? Borax, so good.
Never saw Phantasm. I have no interest in those. Like, would they remake 7?
I have not seen this.
I think a bigger concern for something like 7 would be that they end up making like a TV version, like a limited series for some of these classic crime thrillers. Would be that that they'd make a television, like an extended television version of it, where maybe the beginning and the end are like the movie, and then everything in the middle is fluff fanfic that is done to fill out 8 episodes of a story.
Fan service.
Yeah, not even fan service. No, it's fan service would indicate that it shows reverence for the source material. A lot of times it's just filling in the space in there.
Yeah.
Those don't interest me. Most of the time, again, inherently, sequels and remakes don't interest me.
That Stanzatastic said they'll call it something dumb like 8.
7.5.
LMAO. You were saying?
Sequels and prequels and all that stuff don't inherently interest me. I'm not the person that dismisses them out of hand like a lot of people do, because nobody seems to want to show up for the new stuff anyways, right? Like they make the new stuff on streaming, nobody watches it. But we all know that everyone has a reason and a right to be skeptical of all of it because they do most of it crappy.
Pat the Plumber said sketch therapy is cool, EVS is a POS. Okay.
Well, we're getting into
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. You guys have been in an entirely different conversation. You're entitled to have whatever opinion you want about whoever you want, but we're not going to talk shit about people that we've had on the show. Gordon Shumway said remake the Transformers 86 movie and Glenn Powell can voice Hot Rod.
Glenn Powell doesn't need to do voice acting right now, though. Like his
they want
benefit
his big beaming smile.
Yeah, he's got to be on screen.
Camera.
And what I pointed out earlier is like, imagine how Miles Teller must feel now, given that he seemed like the one who would have been the anointed after Top Gun Maverick.
I haven't heard a single
and Glenn Powell's
peep about his career.
Glenn Powell's like, out of my way, mustache.
Yeah,
I'm the one in charge now.
Carnell said, I was thinking about this last night and thought Brett would agree. Glenn Powell is probably a surefire actor to bring back baseball in film. He could pull off a baseball player down on his luck role. Angels in the Outfield remake starring...
That's already a remake.
Glenn Powell.
Angels in the Outfield, that was when I blew my mind like a month ago when I found out that Angels in the Outfield was a remake of a 1950 movie, of a movie from the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
But they could just remake it. That wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
What movie? Oh, they would totally get him to do the Field of Dreams remake. Kevin Costner-esque? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't make that. Please don't make that. But that's really funny that you mentioned that, because after watching Angels in the Outfield for the first time in like 10 years the other night, I went and looked at, I think his name's William Deere, the director, and he did like 3 other movies about baseball. Obviously, none of them at the level of success. But if you grew up at the time I grew up, you had Angels in the Outfield, you had Field of Dreams, you had The Sandlot, you had Little Big League, you had all sorts, and more serious. Obviously, Field of Dreams is a more serious one. There's more serious ones. There's all sorts of sports movies.
There are football movies too.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I just thought of this. I feel like they're gonna remake The Sandlot and make it a girls' softball team.
They what they did is they made a television version of A League of Their Own.
Okay.
Guys. Oh, crap! I just forgot what I was going to say. I had something really great. Oh yeah,
what had something really great in the hopper.
I watched a faith-based baseball movie last year called The Hill. That was quite enjoyable. That I enjoyed a lot. I would ask you what your favorite baseball movie is.
Okay. Pop Culture Junkie said only if they can get Fincher to produce.
Yeah.
On what?
7.
Okay.
And yes, Major League. So that's the plan this weekend, is to show if anybody hasn't seen Major League 1 and 2, it was one of those rare examples where growing up, we owned Major League 2 for some reason. We did not own Major League 1. So I saw the first Major League, like way later than growing up watching the original, like watching Major League 2, which I absolutely adore. And I do love the idea that somebody could Rick the Wild Thing Vaughn, who's throwing like 86 mile an hour fastballs all season because he's trying to do a bunch of breaking balls to supplement his pitch rotation, would suddenly start throwing in the high 90s because he put on glasses. That never made sense to me.
Well, pitchers don't generally have glasses.
Yes.
That's
but the
thing.
point is,
that's not
like,
a thing.
his fastballs are hitting like the low 90s. Then suddenly in the last game, he comes back to face Parkman. He puts on his horn rimmed glasses and he's hitting 97, 98, 99 mile an hour fastballs. Like, what? Did they have steroids?
It's kind of like
in them?
being a pilot. Like that just wouldn't happen in the first
Also, one of the great things about it is that Charlie Sheen had experience pitching, so his actual throwing looks really, really good. Tony Danza's throwing in Angels in the Outfield is
Just use a
really
stunt double.
bad.
Just use a stunt double at that point.
Really bad. So
Shane H. Wilder said Phantasm would not work without the OG Tallman.
and in the next one saying girls softball Sandlot was already made.
What?
I didn't see the sequel to the
Wait.
there was a sequel to the Sandlot called like The Sandlot Stealing Home or something like that. I don't remember the actual
Let me
name
look
of
this
it.
up.
But there was a sequel to the Sandlot that I never saw.
Well, it's not Sandlot 2, right?
It was like the Sandlot 2. It was like I'm sure it was like a direct to DVD movie.
It says a new girl in the Sandlot named Haley Goodfarer and her two friends Jenny and Penny compete with the boys over sharing the Sandlot.
Sounds
When the girls
awesome.
refuse to leave, Johnny suggests sharing it. All but one agree.
There was a 2005 movie called Sandlot 2.
That's it, yeah.
And the Sandlot Heading Home in 2007. Which I'm sure captured none of the magic of the originals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never needed to be made.
Nope. All right, guys. Before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Please and thank you. We're pretty close to that third crisis party. If perhaps we get there before we do the outro.
We're
But there's
like,
one more.
let me look.
Yeah.
I think we're like $15 away. We got another one from That Stanzatastic. Have they ruined White Men Can't Jump yet? Sixth Man, since we are all talking about sports movies, don't remake Inception with VR, please. Please don't.
Yeah, I think you would have been more at risk of that like a couple years ago.
VR is not cool anymore.
Yeah, like, and as for, they did remake White Men Can't Jump with Jack Harlow on Hulu.
Did you end up watching?
No, I put it on for 10 minutes and I turned it off.
Okay.
Don't watch it. Go rewatch the original. It's amazing. If for no other reason than Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes and Rosie Brothers is amazing. And The Sixth Man, another amazing sports movie, a basketball movie. Watch Blue Streak as well.
Maybe
Or
you
Blue
should
Chips.
watch in full the Jack Harlow remake and give us your review.
Yeah. Somebody says Brett caught every Ducks movie. My brother was in the original Mighty Ducks movie as an extra.
Did you put that in the IMDb trivia section?
It was already that my brother was in there. No,
You should.
but yeah, you should go watch the original Mighty Ducks. I also have both versions of the Hawks jerseys. Both the Hawks jersey from the age that that Gordon Bombay was a Hawk, which was a different design than the Hawks jersey that the modern team wore in the '90s, and I own both of those.
Gordon Shumway said Charlie Sheen admired to using steroids for Major League. Admitted.
to. That's awesome.
That's okay. I mean, I guess it's not illegal.
Yeah, I love it.
That Stanzatastic said My Cousin Vinny can never be remade, right? Right?
There's a lot of movies they can't remake.
Well, they will anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett, don't forget to tell Mary that Twilight slaps. You don't need to tell me that.
Yeah, she already knows that. She already knows
I'm aware.
that. And a lot of people think that they're remaking Weekend at Bernie's every day on the
On the
White
political
House.
stage, if you will. Shane H. Wilder said Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck.
There's so many good, but like the thing is though is like here's the thing, guys. Baseball is synonymous with love for America. Hollywood hates America, so you can't make great baseball movies now because they don't love America anymore.
That's so true.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I think that is all.
I think we're all caught up.
We are very close. Did you do your outro or did we get the super chats first?
I have not done my outro.
Do the outro.
Guys, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. And I will do the outro like this until we get to that.
I think it
third
just hasn't
crisis
caught up
point.
yet.
Oh, I don't know. Guys, if you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC
Oh my gosh, we're
is
literally
here.
70 cents away. Can you guys send us 70 cents exactly? Is that even possible?
PCC is here.
Sorry.
5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would prefer to listen rather than watch this show, and if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because we were banned on TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mary, do you want to read the last of those super chats?
Okay. Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett, make Friday night Blockbuster great again.
That would be, I would love that if Blockbuster still existed.
Travis Perrick said, Bad News Bears.
Thank you.
Josiah sent us $1. Thank you,
Josiah.
That's what we needed. Shane H. Wilder said, for the love of the game with
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner?
It's a lot.
Not Levin Costner.
Yeah. There's a lot of great sports movies out there,
we got
guys.
another
And
one
more.
Donovan Arnold said, the podcast thing is normal comedian shenanigans and 100% normal Chris DiStefano better.
Banter.
Banter, sorry. He's a comedian, pretty popular one too.
Yeah, people said to me, like, you don't know who this guy is? I was like, I guess I don't. So,
How dare you?
Yeah. That's the thing is, like, when you do, like, these types of shows, people think that you've seen everything ever
And
made.
you call yourself a pop culture podcaster.
Yeah.
When you haven't heard of this obscure reference that I'm making.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not necessarily obscure, just not everybody's seen everything, right?
There are tons of times there have been references made to something that we've both seen and we just didn't pick up on it.
Well, because you're doing other things and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, it's like when I talk about, like, it annoys me when I can't remember the names of somebody in the moment. But if I enter in a situation where I start talking about that subject matter, the name will come to me. But if I need to remember the name from an obscure episode of an obscure TV show off the top of my head, it just doesn't always hit me. I tried to remember the name Jay Carnes on the show the other day. Couldn't get it. Love the actor Jay Carnes, but in the moment, couldn't think of it. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more from, I can't read the username there. Was that?
Toephone Man?
And he says,
Don't read this.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, I read it.
With that being said, everybody, we will be, there's one more there.
From Gordon Shumway, a friend brought an interesting point. Remake movies that bombed, not too many people would remember them, and they can rewrite it hopefully better. Stay away from remaking beloved movies. Well, that's not going to get the approval from the studio.
Has to
the
have
budget.
actual name value.
That would be nice and all.
Yep.
You know. but
Still
it's
waiting
not
on
gonna
that
happen.
Dark Angel remake without, with Jessica Alba, and not going to happen because
Yeah.
nobody liked it. Except for me. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go see Twisters, so we will see you guys here tomorrow. Stay tuned for the post-credit crisis party. Later,
Bye.
everybody.